Hoop Light, a new Showtime series from the makers of Homicide and Oz. Step out of bounds.
Enter the world of the unusual, the unexpected. It's Sci Friday. 3 breakthrough Showtime original series that will take you over the edge. Sci Friday starts with Stargate SG-1, followed by Total Recall 2070 and The Outer Limits. Only on Showtime. No limits.
Welcome back to Speak Out Live. We're talking to Mayor White tonight. We've got a ton of calls, so let me jump into one subject and then we'll start taking the calls. The KKK rally, you took a lot of heat for that, but now do you feel a little vindicated because there were arrests in other cities? New York right now is having a tough time.
Yes.
Do you feel slightly vindicated? You said, I did the right thing, and...
Well, I think after 10 years, Kate, I've got to always do what I think is right. Try to get as much input from everyone, but you know, there is a Constitution. And one of the things that's happened to me over 10 years, I have a far greater affinity for the Constitution and the rule of law as opposed to the rule of man or woman than I did when I first got this job. That Constitution is there for a reason. And when we begin to abridge people's rights because we don't like them, then where do we stop?
So if you see George Forbes in the hallway now, you guys say,
make
hey,
sure
what's up?
Gotta make sure there are no chairs in the hallway first.
I mean, getting a letter like that where he says, go blank yourself, I mean, would you say hi? How was that? It's got to be weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's got to be weird. All right, Terry from Cleveland, go ahead. You're on Speak Out Live.
Hello. Good evening, Your Honor.
Good evening, ma'am.
And I'd like to say first that I certainly admire everything that you have done in the city. I'm not a resident of Cleveland. I live in the suburbs, but I certainly have really enjoyed your reign. I am a teacher in a middle school in the Cleveland Municipal Schools.
Yes.
And I have 2 concerns this evening. One is that at some point I would hope and like to see you include some form of input from teachers who are really on the front line. There's certainly a lot that I think we could add to some of the changes that are taking place, and I believe that you mean well in all of them. And I've listened to some of your views this evening, and I certainly agree with them. Not realizing that you really have a good handle on what is going on and what we're experiencing, but certainly could use some of our input. And my second concern is that as a parent myself, I have a certain ownership in my children's education. Yes. I'm expected to contribute a certain amount as outside of my tax dollars. Mm-hmm. And as a teacher, I spend a lot of my own personal money in the classroom because I want to, because I have to, because there aren't a lot of resources. But when are we going to begin to hold some of our parents in Cleveland more liable for their children's education and begin to ask for them to put more into their education as far as monetary funds? I'll listen for your comment.
Let me try to answer them one at a time. First of all, on your first question, your first observation, I think you're absolutely right. We are trying to get as much input from frontline teachers as possible. I know we've already gotten some good ideas, and we're going to keep talking. We probably need to try to increase that so teachers like yourself know that we are doing it. So I would agree with you wholeheartedly. As you were talking about your second question, I thought about what it was like, Kate, when I was a child. My teachers and my parents were in like lockstep partnerships with each other. If you got it at school, the teacher would either come by that evening or call, and you would get it at home. And you didn't contradict the teacher, you didn't question what the teacher said, and if you did, well, you know, you might have a hungry night or two coming up. I think we've got to also realize on the monetary side that for all that we've done, Cleveland is still a fairly poverty-stricken town. 65% of our children live in poverty. We now qualify, as you may be aware, for free meals because we have so many poor children. As opposed to money from parents, and these are the same parents that passed the largest levy in the district's history just 2.5 years ago, I think the best thing and the most important thing that parents can do is to give time to their child and time to education. Stop by, talk to the teacher. The teacher can call the parent, work on shared reading plans and shared learning plans. Because the caller is right, Kate. Education does not stop when school is over. You have to go beyond that.
What's your favorite book, Mayor?
The Little Train That Could. That's the one I read in elementary schools. It's all about me.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I have a lot, but I'm a big Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Okay. Star Wars person.
That's I wouldn't have pegged you a Star Wars
What
guy.
did you think? What kind of person?
I don't
do you
know,
think
something very touching and emotional, like
Godzilla.
yeah,
King
something
Kong.
something like
Something.
that.
A heart tugger.
All right, Bill from Cleveland, you're on Speak Out Live.
Hi, Mayor White. How are you?
Fine, sir.
Nice to hear your voice. Nice to have you on this great show on cable. My
Thank you.
question has to do with your temperament as mayor. Every other week or so we hear about this sort of temperamental outburst or this sort of flare of anger or this friend of yours who gets some sort of contract and this friend of yours who's no longer a friend, who's way out in the cold. And I just wonder how you think that plays as a role model when a lot of folks in town are either really, really scared of you or really, really happy with the work you're doing and making a lot of money off of it, and how you sort of balance that as a public official and as a role model.
Well, sir, let me first of all say that if I were to try to answer your question directly, then it would mean that I would believe everything that I read about myself and everything that I hear about myself. And I hope that you are seasoned enough and mature enough to know that a lot of what you might hear, a lot of what you might read or even see is not always true. I would only ask the question, what kind of person do you see? Do you see a person on TV that is having these huge outbursts? Have you ever seen me in an interview where horns have come out of my head, a tail has come out of my behind? Have you seen anyone prove that I have provided a contract to my friends? In reality, sir, over the last 10 years, my friends, and I do have friends, and I'm not going to say because you're a friend you can't do business with the city of Cleveland, but they have not gotten any more entree to the city of Cleveland than anybody else would. And the reason that I can say that is because there's been a fair amount of attempts to prove these baseless allegations, primarily by the plain dealer, and it has not been proven. So I would only hope that you would look at me based on what I do and based on what you see as opposed to the picture that's trying to be painted by some people who might have issues with me.
Do you feel that you're always kind of struggling against that? I mean, people are scared of you. I'm sure there are people that are scared of you out there. You're such a nice, gentle guy here. I'm saying, but do you feel that you're always trying to prove that you're this, and are you mellower 10 years later than you were 10 years ago?
Well, to answer the second part, Kate, I'm 48 today. I was 38 when I got the job. But beyond that, I'm no different than anybody else. I come in every day and I try to do the very best I can with the resources that I have in front of me. If people want to hold me guilty for being a hard charger, if they want to hold me guilty for being a semi-perfectionist, if they hold me guilty for wanting to do better than we've done in the past, and I'll plead guilty to those things. But I'm no more of a rageful person, I think, than the other 53 men who had this job before me.
And you definitely admit that you think you're a workaholic, yeah? You got to go with that.
Not as much as I used to be. I absolutely do not work on Sundays unless someone breaks the PP rule. And
what's that?
If it's the Pope or the President, yes. If it's anybody else, no.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to a break. We're taking your calls. We're talking to Mayor White, 575-0405.
You've got a busy day ahead, and no matter what kind of weather shows up at your door, there's one easy way to plan for it. Just visit the Weather Channel for your local forecast. When you want to know what kind of weather is moving into your neighborhood, drop in on us. The latest update is just around the corner. Your local forecast, frequently, every hour, only on the Weather Channel.
Watch the Weather Channel on Cablevision.
It's an age of moral outrage and rampant corruption. Relax and enjoy it.
I control TV!
Just when America needs him most.
TV does not control me!
Michael Moore is back on TV. An all-new original series from Bravo, The Awful Truth.